Well, emerging market opportunities are not only in so-called BRIC countries. One hidden growth story is happening in Turkey. Legendary investor Mark Mobius himself said today in Istanbul that Turkish assets aren't, in his view, extremely expensive, and he's invested about $800 million in Turkish banks, petroleum, and consumer stocks. So to tell us more about some opportunities there in Turkey is Mehmet Sami of Ata Invest, who is in town from Turkey, meeting with investors. Mobius says stocks aren't that expensive in Turkey right now. Where are you seeing the most favorable valuations and investment opportunities?
Our view is that forward-looking valuations are Turkey's trading at around 10 times price earnings, which is significantly lower than most of the BRICS and other emerging markets. So therefore, overall, the market, this is actually for 2010, after an 80% increase in the index, I think the valuations are at the right point for people to look into further. And there are great sectors and companies that will be growing faster among their peers.
Now, which sectors are you seeing the most opportunity in? I was speaking with a Turkish investor a few months ago who said Turkey had its own banking crisis back in the early 2000s. We've been through this before. We've kind of learned our lessons. Is that true? I mean, where are you finding the safest bets, the best sector bets right now?
Well, given the disinflation economic story, and in fact, a lot of people are now comparing Turkey with Brazil, low interest rate environment is actually going to really be kicking this market off.
An interest rate decision tomorrow.
Yes, exactly. And I think having had over 1,000 bp reduction in interest rates in 12-month period, we're going to see strong interest in the banking stocks because consumer finance will be fueling. Turkey is not a leveraged market. Household leverage is around 12% of GDP, which is incredibly low compared to all of its peers. So therefore, consumer finance, insurance, and anything to do with consumer sectors. So consumers will be purchasing in the next couple of years. We'll see the emergence of the middle class, which has been forgotten for many years due to high inflation and high real interest rate environment. So anything to do with REITs, for example, will be interesting because people will be buying into housing complexes and any consumer-oriented sector that is available in the market.
Now, you're here meeting with investors. You've got the job in some ways there at these conferences to sell Turkey Incorporated, the Turkish brand itself. Why should there be a T in BRIC? Why should Turkey be included alongside the Chinas, the Brazils of the world?
Okay, I call it actually the BRIC Plus, and for several reasons. One, Turkey is one of the fastest growing markets in the world. Last 6 years, we've averaged 6% growth rate, and that will continue. Considering the fact that Turkey has been growing by over 4% in an 80-odd-year period since the foundation of the Republic, which is very strong. And people always look for growth in earnings. The second is, people don't realize this, but Turkey actually contributes to 1% of world trade is actually done via Turkey. So it's actually a very large trading partner with most of the industrial world, and that's a very important facet. The third is Turkey within the Eurasian market is actually very important. And Eurasia, what I mean by that is Balkans, Central Asia, whole of Middle East and North Africa. Turkey actually has 10% of GDP and 10% of the population base in this huge area. And it's going to become an attraction point, and in fact already attracting huge amount of FDI as we speak.
Well, you know, I was speaking to a private equity investor who does business in Turkey, and he was saying there are opportunities there, but one issue that he has discovered is that there is a certain hesitancy. There are so many businesses that are family owned, and there is just a real reluctance to give up any kind of ownership. And that's some difficulty on the private equity front. Do you find that to be the case?
No, actually, as Ata Invest is one of the front runners of private equity advisory world in Turkey. We've just closed the largest private equity deal in Turkey about 2 weeks ago. Things are changing. Families are actually looking to see development capital as a way of financing their businesses and growing and in fact diversifying into other sectors. So I would not agree, and I think Turkey has a huge potential in terms of private equity moving forward.
Why don't you think there has been the same level of excitement about the Turkish market that there has been about some of the other emerging countries? And also, can you address the issue of political risk? Because there is a well-publicized coup trial happening in Turkey right now. What's happening?
Okay, well, in terms of politics, I have to say Turkey is actually having one of its best periods in a long while. In the last 7 years, we've had a single-party government, which actually has created a predictable environment for all analysts and brokers and investors alike. So I think that's very positive.
But there is the accusation that there was a potential coup attempt against Prime Minister Erdogan.
There are coup attempts, but again, politics in Turkey is always vibrant.
Okay.
There are foreign policy issues as well as domestic policy issues. These should be watched. We've got an election coming up in 2 years' time. There may be an early election. There's a talk about that in 2010. But I think politics is now second to investors, and that's reflected in the market as 70% of the free float is actually owned by foreign investors.
Oh, wow.
It's not decreasing, but increasing.
Thank you so much, Mehmet Sami, Executive Board Member, ATA Invest. Thanks for coming in studio. Stay with us on In Business.